Prime Minister's questions.
Member for Chaguanas East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, could the Prime Minister advise the House of the present status of salary relief and income support grants since the initiation of the lockdown of May 2021 to present?
Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, since this situation has developed and arrangements have been made, the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, along with the Ministry of Finance, have made a lot of provisions and have put out invitations to qualified persons to indicate their circumstance and to establish their qualification for receiving these grants, and that matter has gone on full speed ahead. And the Ministry of Finance has indicated the actual number of persons at any particular time that have applied and persons who have been treated with, and the process continues, Madam Speaker, for persons who would have qualified between the months of May and June. The process continues, and the details of actual figures and numbers can be had from the relevant minister with the appropriate notice, Madam Speaker.
Please.
Madam Speaker, given the Prime Minister's response, can the Prime Minister indicate when can citizens anticipate receipt of these payments in their hands?
Prime Minister.
Well, Madam Speaker, different people will get them in their hands at different times because it's a process and you're dealing with tens of thousands of persons. Those who qualify early as early applicants will receive it in their hands before those who have applied most recently.
Member for Chaguanas East.
Madam Speaker, can the Prime Minister indicate whether payments of income support and salary relief grants have started?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, persons who applied in May have started receiving those grants, but those who have applied in June, because you may recall that the persons in the contracting fraternity were added as persons to benefit, and those persons will be receiving it after those persons who applied in May. So that is underway, Madam Speaker.
Member for Chaguanas East.
Prime Minister indicate whether all eligible applicants would be in receipt of their relief payments during this fiscal year?
Prime Minister.
Well, Madam Speaker, given the arrangements we have in place, all qualified applicants are expected to be paid well before the end of the year, Madam Speaker.
Member for Baratara Sanwa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, having regard to the large quantum of taxpayers' money and the state's senior counsel advice to Petrotrin to immediately set aside the AV drilling arbitration, could the Prime Minister state if any such application has been filed in court?
Minister.
Madam Speaker, this matter of AV drilling, Petrotrin, and the advice is a matter that is entirely within the ambit of the Board of Petrotrin, and I'm aware that the Board of Petrotrin has received advice from a number of legal luminaries on this matter, and the board will take the appropriate action in the public interest. I am not aware that an application has been filed in the court, but that may or may not be so, Madam Speaker.
Member for Baratara Sanwan.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, can the Prime Minister indicate whether or not he's aware that one of the senior counsel's advice was that there would be a deadline for the filing of such an application, and I believe that the deadline would have passed in order to set aside this arbitration on the ground of misconduct of the arbitrators?
Prime Minister.
Well, Madam Speaker, with respect to deadlines and keeping of deadlines and advice and one senior counsel, that is a matter for the Board of Petrotrin. And Madam Speaker, if the Board of Petrotrin is seeking advice, I am sure that the advice of one senior counsel is an advice, but there may be other advice and there may be deadlines to be met, but the entire matter is a matter for the board to meet its deadline and to take on board the advice it gets from its legal service as obtained on the matter, Madam Speaker.
Member for Bartari San Juan.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, can the Prime Minister indicate whether or not he's satisfied with the fact that the Board of Petrotrin is moving with alacrity in terms of this matter to protect the taxpayers from a judgment of almost $1 billion?
Madam Speaker, the protection of $1 billion is not the issue. The issue is that Petrotrin has lost the matter and an appeal is being considered. And the Board of Petrotrin will determine, based on the legal advice, whether or not the appeal should be pursued or whether it should seek to do otherwise. And that is not a matter for the Prime Minister. And my satisfaction is not an issue in this matter. And if you are so concerned, you should be concerned that your colleague from Siparia has put us all in this situation.
Member for Bartari San Juan.
Can the Prime Minister indicate, Madam Speaker, whether or not a report was in fact requested from the Board of Petrotrin with respect to this particular matter?
Prime Minister.
I didn't hear the question. Could you be clearer with the question, please?
Prime Minister, is it that the Cabinet or your good office would have requested a report from the Board of Petrotrin relating to this particular matter and setting aside that arbitration?
No, Madam Speaker, this is not a matter for the Cabinet, and the Cabinet has requested no such report. What the Cabinet is aware of is that there's a matter to be addressed by Petrotrin, and Petrotrin, through its board, and there's a Minister for Petrotrin, will always in this government protect the public interest.
For Couva South.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question number 3 to the Prime Minister. In light of the recent deaths of 12 police officers within the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service who have succumbed to the COVID-19 virus, could the Prime Minister inform this House if the Cabinet has given due consideration and approval for the payment of monetary compensation similar to which are paid to the families of officers who were killed in the line of duty?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, the monetary compensation for police officers are for those killed in the line of duty. For example, Madam Speaker, police officers who were shot and killed or attacked by criminals or in hot pursuit whilst on duty. Officers who have died due to COVID would not fall in this category. However, the Ministry of National Security is considering liaising with the Commissioner of Police towards a strong insurance policy for police officers that would include such other situations, Madam Speaker.
Member for Couva South.
Prime Minister, could you inform this House if the government has taken the positive step to engage the Trinidad and Tobago Police Social and Welfare Association to discuss an entitlement along the lines of what we may call a risk allowance in the context of what has happened to these 12 police officers?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I am aware that this is a matter attracting the attention of the Commissioner of Police, and I can say no more at this time.
Member for Couva South.
Prime Minister, given the number of cases in terms of police officers who have tested positive and the deaths that have occurred, could you give this House the commitment that until the end of this financial year there will be no slashing of any financial resources to ensure that there is proper and effective sanitization of all police stations within Trinidad and Tobago?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I am sure that with respect to the management of the police service, the question of sanitization of police areas of work and equipment of work would be dealt with in the manner as requested by the member, and I would expect that all managers worthy of the title in this pandemic, following the health protocols, will do that without the intervention of the Cabinet.
Member for Naparima.
Madam Speaker, Question number 4 to the Prime Minister. Could the Prime Minister inform the House what data, if any, informed the decision of the government to reopen laundromats?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, the data is pretty straightforward. The government has taken the position that in managing the pandemic, we reduce the exposure of elements of the national community. With respect to laundromats, Madam Speaker, it was determined that a large number of people could be serviced by a few people acting in a situation which does not expose the public. And therefore, with health protocols being observed inside of a laundry, serving in the way that they served, that it could be opened without increasing the risk to the public.
Member for Naparima.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Prime Minister, given that data tell us that open-air activities are safe, provided COVID protocols are maintained, then why outdoor sales in restaurants are not permitted as of today?
Because, Madam Speaker, it involves, with respect to restaurants and the use of restaurants, it involves a large number of people in close quarters for a significant period of time. That is not the case in a laundromat.
Member for Naparima.
How does the Prime Minister respond to the same data allowing restaurants in Toronto, in London, England, and many cities in the US to permit outdoor sales?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, the decisions made in Toronto and made in London are decisions made by the leadership of those countries on data that I don't have. I make data in Trinidad and Tobago based on what is in front of us. And Madam Speaker, I say again, the situation at a laundromat, dropping off your clothes, physically distance, and mask for a few officers working in a laundry is quite different to a restaurant where large numbers of people are involved and exposed to one another for a significant period of time. It's a different arrangement. And that is why, Madam Speaker, in our effort to open as many facets of the country as we can, while we also be cognizant of the health situation, that we will do so not just with laundromats, but with other areas, including food service, as we determine the level of risk. And it has nothing to do with Toronto or France or Germany. It has all to do with decisions made in Trinidad and Tobago by the government of Trinidad and Tobago.
Member for Naparima.
Clear that the Prime Minister does not accept best practice. Why, in the manufacturing of doubles, which is a family business, and large numbers of people don't congregate, why, and the sales are in the open air with COVID protocols, why not allow that, given the data?
Madam Speaker, repeating it over and over is not going to change it. We are talking about the numbers of people congregating and congregated in the exercise. And of all the meals in this country, there's nothing different and special about doubles. We shut down restauranting, Madam Speaker, because it involves a large number of people. We close restaurants of all descriptions. And I don't know what is his doubles problem. And Madam Speaker, at the first opportunity that it appears to us that these things can be done without significantly increasing the risk to people, the government of Trinidad and Tobago will act as we are acting now.
Member for Baratarisana.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Prime Minister, based on the answer given, would you not admit that the bakeries that are allowed to be open operate in a similar environment where there's a kitchen operating and persons gather in the kitchen, where you could also open restaurants, and it will be the exact same thing that is happening right now with the bakeries, and they are open?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, the government looks at all opportunities to open the economy. So I am not in a position to differentiate between this bakery and that bakery, this fried and that unfried, Madam Speaker. And the advice that we use on these matters is the whole body of data, looking at the whole population, and as we use section by section, we expect, Madam Speaker, that some sections would be in and some would be coming in. And Madam Speaker, all I ask my colleagues is to stop trying to differentiate in such a way as to give the impression that certain people are being disadvantaged inappropriately while others are being favored. That is not true, Madam Speaker. I would love tomorrow to open the entire country, as your irresponsible leader is asking me to do, as though we are not in a pandemic. But it is because we are in a pandemic, and I have the responsibility of making the call, Madam Speaker, that I will make the call to protect every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago according to the advice that I get.
For Naparima.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 5 to the Prime Minister. Could the Prime Minister inform the House what is the quantum of money paid to the law firm Al-Rowley, Haynes, Suhon and Company thus far by the Office of the Prime Minister in respect of a pre-action protocol letter from the Mahasabha questioning the change in criteria for scholarships?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, the quantum of money paid is zero, zilch, nada, nothing, none at this point. The matter is in the court, and at the appropriate time, a bill will be issued and a payment will be made.
Member for Naparima.
Could the Prime Minister tell us if he's aware of the procurement process used to select the firm of Al-Rowley, Haynes, Suhon and Company?
Madam Speaker, the Office of the Prime Minister from time to time would be required to seek legal help, and they will seek that legal help through the Office of the Permanent Secretary or through the Attorney General. The Prime Minister is not involved personally in selecting any law, and if it has been done, Madam Speaker, it has been done within the realms of the appropriate public service department.
Member for Naparima.
Could the Prime Minister inform us then what procedures exist in his office for tenders such as these?
Madam Speaker, there is no procedure in my office which specifically identifies any citizen to be discriminated against or to be favored. Madam Speaker, this is a business that has involved the hiring of probably hundreds of lawyers, and I fail to see, other than a certain kind of unmentionable that has my member from Naparima, my colleague from Naparima, obsessed with what happens to a law firm in which the member's wife is a partner. And I would just suggest to my colleague, it's very unbecoming to be targeting a member's wife in that way, because no law has been broken and no breach has been met, and I'm unaware of any wrongdoing in this matter. And if you do find any wrongdoing, please let me know, and I will pass it to the appropriate authorities.
Naparima.
There's no personal thing. This is taxpayers' money. And could you state, I'm giving it.
Attorney General. Member for Naparima. Remember, this is question time. You are allowed to ask a question. All right? So you can ask a question, no preambles, no statements. I guess you will have another opportunity for that.
That this is taxpayers' money, and therefore it is of interest to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago about the process in which taxpayers' money is spent.
Madam Speaker, it is taxpayers' money. I know that, but it does not mean that you have to behave like that. Oh, Madam Speaker, only recently the Attorney General read out in this House, I think, almost 200 law firms and individuals involved in providing legal asset for the, advice to the state and service. What is the obsession with the AG's wife? And you have been told from this podium that it has not been what you have been saying. I have just told you she has received no fee from it and the matter is in the court. What is your obsession with the man's wife?
Member for Naparima.
Question 6 to the Prime Minister. Could the Prime Minister inform this House as to the details of the contract with Prestige Holdings and Namdevco regarding the distribution of hampers?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, Prestige offered 8 refrigerated trucks. Namdevco pays for fuel and labor. Mario's has now offered 2 trucks. These represent a significant reduction in the contracted cost of 14 trucks used in May and June.
Naparima.
Thanks. Mr. Prime Minister, could you tell this Honourable House how that came about? Was there a tendering process, a procurement process, a friend process, whatever? We need to know.
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I have no knowledge other than the question being put to me, and if the member puts it elsewhere with appropriate notice, the appropriate minister will answer.
Naparima. Member for Barrett Harrison.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Prime Minister, is this same company that is contracted by Namdevco the chairman of the person who was in charge of the recovery committee?
Muffled, I can't hear what you're saying.
Sorry, Prime Minister, the person who owns this company, Prestige Holding, is this the same person who was the chairman of the COVID-19 recovery committee of the cabinet?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I know Prestige Holding has shareholdings. I can't answer your question as if this is the same person or not, because I do not know, I'm not involved in the ownership of Prestige Holding. But if you file a question giving notice, we can investigate it and give you a detailed, accurate answer.
Member for Naparima.
Question 7. Given recent statements issued by the chairman of the National Insurance Board that pensions are to be reduced before persons turn 65, could the Prime Minister inform the House whether this policy position has been adopted by his government?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, the Minister of Finance has answered this question very clearly here. I am not aware that the question reflects what the Minister of Finance has said, because what was indicated is that the matter is under consideration, and the consideration was explained, Madam Speaker. So I expect that after consideration, these developments might have a decision. But at the moment, the matter of NIB, retirement age, 60 or 65, is a matter which is under consideration, and certain consultations are underway.
Member for Naparima.
You have said, Prime Minister, that the matter is under consideration, but does the government have a policy position with respect to the elderly persons and payments such as given by the NIS?
I am not exactly sure what you're asking me.
Sheila. You have yes. Naparima.
Minister engaged in any discussions with the Minister of Finance as regards to government's policy with respect to this matter? Or you're only waiting on something to come to Cabinet?
Madam Speaker, the matter lies with the Minister of Finance, where it is being considered in consultation with all interested parties. And therefore, it is not a matter that is in front of me as Prime Minister at the moment. It may eventually get there, and it probably will get to the Cabinet. But I simply would ask the member to respect the procedures that are structural, and that policies don't exist for existence sake. Policies are there for a purpose, and if they are to be adjusted, there's a procedure for adjusting them.
Thank you very much. Prime Minister, can you indicate to this House who have been consulted so far? Who have been consulted so far with respect to this matter?
I could not. But if you put that question to the Ministry of Finance, the Minister of Finance could tell you what is being done in detail, and who and where they live and what their phone number might be.
Urgent question.